The sun beat down mercilessly on Forward Operating Base Hawkeye, a remote outpost nestled in the rugged mountains of northern Afghanistan. Sergeant Maya Reeves stepped off the transport helicopter, her duffel bag slung over one shoulder and her service weapon secured at her hip. After 6 months of specialized K-9 tactical training in Germany, she was eager to implement her new skills with the elite SEAL team stationed here. Maya's reputation preceded her: 3 tours in combat zones, 7 successful hostage extractions with her previous K-9 partner, and now advanced certification in the military's most cutting-edge K-9 warfare techniques. But as she surveyed the dusty compound, she noticed the curious glances from the personnel. New faces always drew attention in these isolated posts. Lieutenant Edward Hayes watched from the command center window as the helicopter departed. The slight figure walking toward the barracks didn't match the description of the expert handler he'd been promised. Hayes had specifically requested the best the military had to offer for their experimental tactical K-9 program, and this didn't look promising. "That's our new specialist?" Colonel Meryl Tengistal asked, appearing beside Hayes. Her distinguished career in Air Force Special Operations had earned her this Joint Forces assignment, and her skepticism was evident. "Apparently," Hayes replied. "Let's see what she's made of before we make any judgments." What neither officer realized was that Maya's transfer paperwork had been misrouted. The base commander had received notification of a new observer arriving to document the K-9 program, not the handler herself. The miscommunication would prove consequential. Maya reported to the administration building, where a distracted clerk handed her visitor credentials instead of her proper security clearance. Before she could correct the error, an alarm blared across the compound. "Training exercise," the clerk explained. "Report to the main yard." Outside, Lieutenant Audie Murphy, the team's weapons specialist, was organizing the day's drills. His eyes narrowed when he spotted Maya approaching. "You the observer?" he called out. Maya opened her mouth to correct him, but was cut off by Colonel Tengistal's arrival. "Perfect timing. We're running the K-9 response scenarios today," the colonel announced. "You can get a first-hand look at what these animals can do." Maya followed them to a reinforced pen where 3 Belgian Malinois paced restlessly. These weren't ordinary military working dogs. They were the result of the program's specialized breeding and training, each worth more than most of the vehicles on base. "These 3 have been giving us trouble," Lieutenant Hayes explained, misreading Maya's professional interest as nervous curiosity. "Their previous handler was injured last month, and they haven't bonded with anyone since." The largest dog, a muscular male with intense eyes, growled low in his throat as they approached. The SEALs exchanged glances, and Maya caught the subtle smirk that passed between them. "Since you're here to observe, might as well get the full experience," Hayes suggested with false casualness. "We need to see how they react to strangers in their territory." Maya recognized the test for what it was: hazing the newcomer. What they didn't know was that Maya had personally trained 2 of these dogs before they were transferred to this program. As the gate swung open, Maya felt the weight of her sidearm against her hip. In the distance, beyond the perimeter fence, a dust cloud rose from the valley, unusual for this time of day. Her instincts, honed through years in combat zones, prickled with warning. The dogs tensed, their attention shifting from Maya to the horizon. Something was coming, and it wasn't part of any training exercise. Maya stepped into the pen with measured confidence, her body language shifting subtly. The SEALs watched from outside, expecting entertainment at the newcomer's expense. The largest dog, Ajax, bared his teeth and advanced with hackles raised. The other 2, Viper and Shadow, flanked him in perfect predatory formation. "Should we intervene?" whispered Lieutenant Murphy, hand moving toward his sidearm as the situation appeared to escalate. Lieutenant Hayes held up his hand. "Wait." Maya locked eyes with Ajax, her posture straight but non-threatening. Then, in a voice that carried authority without aggression, she spoke a command in Dutch, the language these specialized dogs had been trained in. All 3 animals froze instantly. "Zit," she commanded. The dogs sat in perfect unison. The SEAL's expressions transformed from amusement to confusion as Maya proceeded to put the animals through a series of complex commands. The dogs responded with precision that they hadn't shown since their original handler's departure. "Who the hell is she?" Colonel Tengisdal muttered. Before Hayes could respond, the distant rumble they'd noticed earlier intensified. Suddenly, the base alarm blared, not the scheduled training signal, but the piercing wail of a real threat. "Contact! Eve perimeter!" crackled over the radio. The sound of gunfire erupted from the direction of the main gate. "Insurgents, at least 20 fighters. They've breached the outer fence." Hayes grabbed his rifle. "Murphy, get to the armory. Colonel, command center, someone get that civilian to safety." Maya's hand was already on her sidearm. "Lieutenant, these dogs are combat trained. I can—" An explosion rocked the north side of the compound, cutting her off. The blast knocked several SEALs off their feet. Through the smoke, armed figures appeared, moving with tactical precision that suggested these weren't ordinary insurgents. "They're targeting the command center," Maya shouted, recognizing their formation. She whistled sharply, and all 3 dogs snapped to attention. "Lieutenant, I need your authorization to deploy these animals." Hayes hesitated for only a second before nodding. "Do it." Maya unholstered her weapon and issued commands in rapid succession. The dogs moved out in perfect coordination, taking flanking positions as she advanced toward the nearest building for cover. "Follow her lead," Hayes ordered his team, impressed despite the chaos. As they moved through the compound, the attack intensified. A second explosion hit the communications array, sending shrapnel flying. Private Jenkins took a hit to the leg and went down. Maya directed Shadow to guard him, while she and the remaining team pushed forward. "They knew exactly when to hit us," Colonel Tengisdal said as they regrouped behind the concrete barrier. "This isn't random." "They're after something specific," Maya agreed, checking her ammunition. "The timing, the precision, this was planned." A burst of gunfire forced them back into cover. Lieutenant Murphy took a grazing wound to his shoulder but remained operational. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. "Command center's compromised," reported a breathless corporal who had managed to reach their position. "They've taken Captain Williams hostage." Hayes cursed. "Williams has access codes to our entire northern network." Maya studied the compound layout, her mind racing. "Lieutenant, these dogs can get us through the blind spot behind the mess hall. We can flank them, but I'll need covering fire." "You're just an observer," Colonel Tengisdal objected. "This isn't your fight." Maya chambered a round in her sidearm with practiced efficiency. "With respect, Colonel, I'm Sergeant Maya Reeves, K-9 Tactical Division. Those are my dogs, and this just became my fight." The revelation stunned the team into momentary silence. Another explosion rocked the base, closer this time. "We're running out of options," decided Hayes. "Sergeant Reeves, take point with the dogs. Murphy, you and Johnson provide cover. We move on my mark." As they prepared to advance, Maya locked eyes with Ajax. The dog's intense focus mirrored her own determination. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Maya moved with practiced precision, Ajax and Viper flanking her as they navigated through the smoke-filled compound. Lieutenant Hayes and his team followed her lead, their initial skepticism replaced by professional respect. The dogs detected an enemy sniper position before any human could spot it, saving Colonel Tengisdal from a clean headshot. "Command center 50 meters ahead," Maya whispered, signaling the team to hold position. 3 hostiles at the entrance, more inside with Captain Williams. Hayes nodded grimly. "Direct assault would be suicide." "We don't need one," Maya replied, her eyes calculating. "Ajax can create a diversion at the south entrance. Viper can infiltrate through the ventilation shaft we passed. I'll guide him remotely." Murphy looked doubtful. "You can control the dog without visual contact?" "These aren't ordinary dogs, Lieutenant," Maya said, checking her weapon. "They're the result of the program I helped develop before being assigned here." The plan unfolded with military precision. Ajax's ferocious barking drew several insurgents to the south entrance, while Viper silently entered the building through the narrow duct. Maya monitored his progress through a specialized receiver on her wrist, whispering commands into her comm unit. Inside the command center, Captain Williams sat bound to a chair, while the insurgent leader attempted to force access codes from him. The sudden commotion outside drew the attention of two guards. In that moment of distraction, Viper emerged from the vent and attacked with lethal efficiency, clamping down on the arm of the insurgent holding a knife to William's throat. The SEAL team breached the entrance, with Maya and Ajax leading the charge. In the ensuing firefight, Maya took a bullet to her shoulder but continued advancing, her weapon steady in her non-dominant hand. Her commands to the dogs never faltered despite the pain. When the smoke cleared, all hostiles were neutralized. Captain Williams was shaken but alive, the critical network access codes secure. "Sergeant Reeves," Hayes said as a medic attended to her wound, "I believe we owe you an apology." Maya winced as the medic applied pressure. "Miscommunications happen in the field, Lieutenant." Colonel Tengisdal approached, her uniform dusty but her posture impeccable. "Your transfer paperwork finally came through properly. You weren't sent to observe our program, you were sent to lead it." The revelation spread through the team. Lieutenant Murphy shook his head in disbelief. "We put you in that pen as a joke." "I figured as much," Maya replied with a hint of a smile. "But it gave me a chance to reconnect with my dogs. Ajax and I trained together for 2 years before he was transferred here." As the base returned to secure status, the full picture emerged. The attack had been orchestrated by a splinter group with inside intelligence on the base's operations. They had specifically targeted the day when the base would be running drills, knowing security would be confused by the real attack versus the planned exercise. 2 weeks later, Maya stood before the reconstructed K-9 training facility. Her arm was still in a sling, but she had refused medical evacuation. Lieutenant Hayes approached, extending his hand. "The team wanted me to give you this," he said, offering a custom-made tactical vest with a SEAL team insignia and a specialized K-9 handler patch. "I'm not a SEAL, Lieutenant," Maya reminded him. "After what you did, as far as we're concerned, you are. The dogs respond to you like I've never seen. We need you here." Maya accepted the vest, running her fingers over the embroidered patch. Behind her, Ajax, Viper, and Shadow sat at perfect attention, awaiting her next command. "The program needs work," she said finally. "Your handling protocols are outdated, and the training regimen isn't maximizing their potential." Hayes smiled. "That's why you're now in charge of it, Sergeant." As the sun set over the mountains, Maya watched her dogs patrol the perimeter with the SEAL team members who had once doubted her. The miscommunication that had placed her in that pen had revealed the truth that no paperwork could have conveyed. Sometimes respect isn't granted by rank or reputation, but earned in the moments when everything is on the line.